Good afternoon, everyone. It is still Saturday, February 21st, 2026. This is Truth News. I am Walter Bass. We are going to do a continuation of earlier's video, how the government can't tell the truth, nor can they tell time. And we're going to get into the financial terrorism being conducted on U.S. citizens and the impact it is having. Let's start with not being able to tell time. We went through the Iraq War, which was supposed to be 6 weeks in 2003. It is now 2026 and we're still there. That's the longest 6 weeks I've ever seen in my life. And you would think that the Constitution would be much younger than it is, the way the United States government is trying to screw it. You would think so. You would think the Constitution would be like 12 or 13 years old, the way the government's just trying to screw it. But I digress. Let's talk about, we went from 6 weeks to, 23 years? 2003, 2026, 23 years. How 6 weeks turned into 23 years with the Iraq War. Let's talk about how 2 weeks turned into 3 years and is actually still continuing because it seems to just never go away. COVID. Anyone remember COVID? Remember the whole big shutdown? Everybody's got to wear a mask. Shut up, put your mask on. You're going to die. If you don't wear a mask, I'm going to die. Everybody wear a mask or we're all going to die. You can't leave your house. 6 feet, stay 6 feet away. 6 feet away. Got to stay 6 feet. Remember that? We can't do anything. We can't go anywhere. We can't go to work. Can't do anything. Nope. Remember that? 2 weeks to flatten the curve. That was March 16th of 2020. And it was Donald J. Trump who said, we're going to shut down America for 2 weeks to flatten the curve, to slow the spread. Just 2 weeks. That's all it's going to be, is 2 weeks. It was May of 2023 before that ended. Yeah, May of 2023 before we reopened the United States of America. So, and it was the World Health Organization, the WHO, who declared an end to the international public health emergency in May of 2023. So 2 weeks turned into 3 years and 6 weeks turned into 23 years. These are by the calculations of the leaders of the free world. That's how they tell time. So it is blatantly obvious that the people we supposedly elect, that are actually elected by lobbyists and foreign nations, like the tiny hat people, you know who I'm talking about, our greatest ally. That's who elects our presidents. People like Miriam Adelson, Larry Ellison, Mark Zuckerberg. People like that are who elects the presidents. Me and you, our votes are, just for show, to make us feel good. Voting in America is like a participation trophy. You get to participate and they get to say you actually participated and the results were your benefit. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And I think it's blatantly obvious when you watch Tucker Carlson's interview with Mike Huckabee, how Tucker Carlson blatantly asked him, is not the purpose of the government to represent the United States citizens? And Mike Huckabee says, yes, well, of course it is, of course. And Tucker Carlson says, well, when 80% of the country does not want to go to another war, Mike Huckabee said, well, it's duly noted. It's duly noted. Yeah, we recognize it, but we're still going to do what we want to do anyway. We're going to go to another war. We're going to spend billions of dollars, murder American citizens on behalf of a foreign nation that don't really care about us. So now we're going to talk about the financial terrorism being conducted on U.S. citizens. And what sparked this was Nate at Valhalla last night disclosing some information I had to do some research on to verify it. But it is true in a sense. It's a half-truth right now. what I'm going to say first is 100% true, because I know, because my mother's on Social Security and she had her Social Security benefits cut. Not only cut, but they're taking back $400 this next Social Security check to make up for the overpayment of the $200 for January and February they paid her. So, and this is flat out terrorism, because most of our elderly and senior citizens are on what's called a fixed income, which means whatever money they get once a month, and that's all they get for the month. And for years, they have structured their lifestyle, whether it be their groceries, whether it be their commuting to go anywhere, whether it be their entertainment, their internet, their bills, all of that is structured on their fixed income. For instance, if they make $1,200 a month, they have to make sure their rent, their groceries, their car, insurance, gas, all, go under that $1,200 a month. So the United States government cut the Medicaid funding for senior citizens, meaning about a $200 a month. Well, I know from personal experience, my mother, she was getting $1,400 a month, which is ridiculous. That's why I live with her, to help her. $1,400 a month, and they cut it down to $1,200 a month. And on top of cutting it down to $1,200 a month, the January and February payments of $1,400 were $200 overpayments. So she's going to lose $400 her next Social Security payment, which means she's going to be in trouble. Thank goodness I'm working and here to help her. And this is going to impact a lot of elderly people greatly. I mean, could you imagine getting $1,400 a month, and then all of a sudden you're down to $900 a month? I mean, how are you gonna compensate for that? How are you gonna make that up? You can't work overtime. It's not like you can ask for more hours at work. You're elderly. You're a senior citizen. You're not working, and your bills don't change. Your bills aren't going to go down. Your groceries aren't going down. Nothing's going down. So, on top of all of the child sex trafficking, the cannibalism of children, the rape of children, the sale of children, the never-ending wars from Venezuela to taking over Greenland, tariffs on the world, ICE murdering American citizens in the street, grocery prices up, rent up, everything going up, Medicaid being cut for 20 million Americans, healthcare being cut for 20 million Americans, and all the rich people keep getting richer, and the Dow Jones is not over 50,000. Let's address that. This is a crisis. The Dow Jones is not over 50,000 right now. Matter of fact, let me pull it up. I don't want to lie on Truth News. That would defeat the purpose of this. Dow Jones today, it is 49,625.97. So it is not over 50,000 there, Scam Blondie. So, with Social Security being cut to the elderly, which is going to be dire for a lot of people, this could force a lot of people into homelessness, or at least make it to where it's going to take them 3 to 6 months to get back on track. They're going to have to restructure some things, cut some bills out, eat less. Who knows what they're going to do? I don't know. And I find this to be cruel and inhumane. Absolutely flat out. Anyone who does, I find attacks on children, elderly, and animals to be cruel, inhumane, and barbaric. Period. Full stop. I don't care if you like cats or hate cats, you cannot hurt cats. I don't care if you like dogs or hate dogs, you cannot hurt dogs. I don't care if you're pro-life or not pro-life, you cannot hurt children. And I don't care how you feel about old people, you cannot hurt old people. These things are defenseless. It's just, it's sick, it's evil, and it's an epidemic consuming our entire nation right now, and we're watching it unfold. And like I say, my son is a victim of child sex trafficking. I'm a victim of retaliation by the federal government for reporting child sex trafficking. And that is what prompted me to start making these videos. That is what prompted me to start doing this research, start speaking out. I mean, I don't know what else to do. And speaking of what else to do, I heard James Shields, who was the guest on Valhalla last night with Nate. I heard James Shields say this. I heard Coach Collins say this. I've been hearing this a lot lately. There's more of us than there are of them. And that is true. There are more of us than there are of them. But the only way that strategy works is if we all come together as one. It does no good to have a million bees if they don't swarm at the same time and become, if they don't unite. See, unity with strategy is the only way we're going to fix the problems in our country with our leadership. And make no mistake, they work for us. Whether they like it or not, whether they want to admit it or not, I don't really care. I know what the rules of this country are. I know what the laws of this country are. I pay taxes. I've been paying taxes for over 30 years of my life. I have worked since I was 14 years old, on the books, paying taxes, paying tickets, paying fines, paying court costs, paying all this stuff constantly, taxes, constantly. I've done everything correctly. And when I didn't do it correctly, I was held accountable and made it correct. I corrected it. Whether I wanted to or not, whether I liked it or not, was irrelevant. When I did wrong, I was forced to correct it. These people are doing wrong on a scale never seen before in the history of our nation. The United States of America has never been attacked like it is now. And by the United States of America, I mean the citizens, the veterans, the elderly, the children, U.S. citizens, whether it's Alex Preddy, Renee Good, whether it's priests being shot in the face with pepper balls, whether it's arrest. I mean, it's atrocious. And there are more of us than there are of them. But for that analogy and that strategy to work, it has to be unity. We have to come together as one and get on the same page at the same time. That's the only way we're going to stop this. So moving on, this is what I got from Nate at Valhalla last night. And he dropped this bit of information. I couldn't believe it when I heard it. I thought, no way. There's no way they're doing this. So military vets are going to have their disability cut off if they can be treated with meds. I want to repeat that. Military veterans who served our country, went to war, and had limbs blown off are suffering from severe emotional or psychological distress, severe injuries from surgeries, back injuries, knee injuries, shoulder injuries. And I have veterans in my family. I have a couple of veterans in my family. My dad was a Marine. My grandfather was in the Army. So I come from a veteran family. And the idea that if you go to war for this country and you have your legs blown off and you come back and they give you prosthetic legs, technically they have treated you. Therefore, you're not eligible for disability. Could you imagine that? I want you to imagine that. You, as a young man, 18, 19, 20 years old, you dedicate your whole life and your future and your health to service for your country. You are willing to go to who knows where and do unspeakable things for no other reason than you're told to, that nobody explains why. You're just told, go shoot these people, go bomb these people, go do this, go do that. And you're not even allowed to question it. And can you imagine at 22, 23, 24 years old, losing your legs to an IED or a sniper or whatever the case may be, and you have no legs. And you come back to your country, you go through grueling pain, grueling surgeries, all types of who knows what type of medical treatments. And they give you a couple of metal legs and say, okay, good luck to you. Go find a job and pay your bills. with prosthetic legs. We're not giving you any disability. You're not going to get any money. You're not going to get any assistance. You can come back to the VA if you want some meds, if you want some pain meds, if you want some Oxycontin. Come on back. We'll give you a script. We'll give you all types of opioid medication. Yeah, sure. We'll give out opioids all day long, but no, you got to take your prosthetic legs and figure out how you're going to support a family, how you're going to take care of your wife and your children. And you're 24, 25 years old. You're a young man. You're still healthy. You're just missing 2 legs. What's the big deal? So I looked into this because I couldn't believe it. That sounds unbelievable, right? That sounds just unbelievable for the United States of America to do to its veterans. And it turns out it is true. They passed a law stating that if you can be treated, then you will not receive disability. Which means if you come back with severe PTSD because you had to murder children or women for no other reason than you were told to, and it bothers your conscience and your morals to the point where you have trouble coping with it, which I would imagine any human being with a conscience, with a soul, would have trouble coping with things like that, they'll give you some psych meds, and that's it. Go to work, figure it out. If you were in a Humvee convoy and you took missiles and fire and everything's blowing up around you, and you rattled your brain and your skull and gave you some type of mild brain injury, but you still have flashbacks around loud noises, or I know some veterans who can't be around fireworks at the 4th of July because it brings back too many memories, and they will have nervous breakdowns. It's detrimental to their mental health to be around such things as fireworks for the 4th of July. But they're going to tell you need to go to work at a factory or a machine shop and work around that 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Just deal with it. Take your meds and go on. You're not getting any money. You're not getting any help from our government. Thanks for giving up your life for our country. We got nothing for you. Now shoo along. We got some opioids. That's the best we can offer you. Here's some opioids or some psych meds. Take care. Thanks for your service. Don't ask us for nothing. They did halt this, though, and I want you to know it's passed, but it's halted, which means it's passed, it just hasn't been implemented yet, which they're going to implement it. I just think they're waiting for maybe after the Iran attacks, when more American citizens in our military are wounded or murdered, and then they will implement it. And I want you to understand, this affects 6.9 million veterans. Nearly 7 million veterans are going to be impacted by this. And they're going to have to figure out how to support their family, pay their bills with disabilities that they got by risking their life and limbs in foreign countries because the United States government told them so. And now the United States government says, got nothing for you, nothing we can do for you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable. And I think we know where all of this is coming from. Our government is not our government. Our government is owned and operated by the tiny hats, our greatest ally. Has been for decades. And they are intentionally doing all this. Intentionally. And I believe a lot of this. And this is going to be my opinion. I just want to be clear. I believe a lot of these taxes, tariffs, grocery prices, job situation, the ICE attacks in the streets, the media censorship, just everything, all is retaliation over the Epstein files. I believe the United States government, this regime, this president, and his cabinet are all working against we the people of the United States of America intentionally as retaliation for requesting, demanding, and going on about the Epstein files. And I believe when Donald Trump sat there, 9 months ago, whenever it was, And he said, Epstein? Are we still talking about Epstein? This creep? Why are we still talking about this guy? I believe right then it was either shut up or I'm going to retaliate. And we see what happens at the Supreme Court when they ruled against his tariffs. He's retaliating. 15% tariffs on the whole world now. This is this guy's MO. He was born into money. He was born with a silver spoon in his ass. He has never had to work and earn anything in his life. And everyone has always catered to him to give him what he wants. He is a spoiled psychopath. Genuinely. And I believe his actions and behaviors prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. If you don't give him what he wants, you're a left-wing lunatic. You're crazy. It's your fault. You just don't believe in what he wants. You're not allowed to disagree or you'll be punished. And I think we see that time and time and time again. So I wanted to get another video out today. It's the weekend. I'm off Saturday, Sundays, Monday through Friday. I'm painting. And my next show is going to be pretty good. I've already got it written up right here. And it's about the Maui fires in Hawaii and the town of Lanai. It's about the fires in California and Malibu. And it's about Gaza, the destruction of Gaza. And there's one person connected to all three of those. So between now and then, this will be a little chore, a little task, a little scavenger hunt, if you will. Can you name the one billionaire connected to Hawaii, Malibu, and Gaza? And if you can't get the answer, I'll give it to you next episode. I wanted to thank everybody for your time and attention. Let's close with a Bible verse, as we always do. Let's go with Matthew 24:42. Therefore be on the alert, for you do not know which day your Lord is coming. But be sure of this. Don't guess. Don't think. There's no maybe. Be sure of this, it says. That if the head of the house had known at what time of the night the thief was coming, he would have been on the alert and would not have allowed his house to be broken into. Think about that. If you knew when something bad was going to happen, bad stuff would never happen because you would know and you would take steps to prevent it. For this reason, you also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour when you do not think he will. When you think there's no God, when you think that Jesus wasn't real, when you think you can do whatever you want and get away with it, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. The birds will always fly south for the winter. The salmon will always swim upstream. The sun will always rise in the east and set in the west. Spring will always follow winter. These are laws of the universe set in place by God. So just because man makes these silly laws of do whatever you want and get away with it, if you have money, law don't apply to you, wrong. We all live under the same sun. We all live under the same sky. We all live under the same seasons. We all live under the same law of gravity, laws of physics, laws of mathematics. These laws are set in place by God himself. And no one is above God's law. So I implore you to take this message seriously, because if you think that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Kristi Noem, if you really think these scumbags are the law, you need to reevaluate your conscience and your soul. Because as far as I'm concerned, this Bible is my law book. This Bible is what I serve, and it's who sets the rules for my life. I don't need anybody to discipline me. I discipline myself because I serve God. That's my job. So I hope everyone has a good weekend. Like I said, I have a show written already for tomorrow, which I will probably do tomorrow. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.